Getting that first DJ gig can feel like an absolute mountain to climb, but I can guarantee you that if you use some of the tips and tricks I used to get my first DJ gig, it's going to go a long way in helping you to get your first all-important DJ slot. Hello, what's up YouTube, and welcome to this episode of Road to Professional DJ. This episode is all about getting that first all-important DJ gig. This can often be the most hardest and the biggest leap for any DJ to make. Going from a bedroom DJ to a club DJ is not only very nerve-wracking, it can take a lot of hard work, and you really need to start knowing some people to getting yourself in a situation where that can become possible. I wanted to go through my own experiences so I can try and help at least a few of you guys out there who are yet to have got that first club gig. And do you know what? It really is possible. When I started off in my scene, and I live in Southampton and Portsmouth, or in the area in between that in the UK, I knew absolutely nobody. Literally, I knew nobody in the scene who was a DJ. I didn't know any promoters, I didn't know any club managers, I didn't know anyone. I literally had to do everything myself. I didn't have that one connection. But if you do have that one connection, if you do know someone who's in the club scene at the moment, who's a DJ, latch onto that. Ask them some questions, ask if they can help get you a gig, ask them if they can link you up and get you networking with someone else, because that is already half a step forward. It's a further step than I had, and it's a further step than so many people out there are going to have as well. But let's get this show on the road and start giving you some tips and some tricks which I used, which helped me to land my first all-important DJ gig. Face to face. There's nothing quite like comparing it when you go and meet someone face to face. It's a completely different ball game. You can send a load of messages, try and get meetings through mates, etc., but meeting someone face to face is so much better. If someone's got a list of 10 people that want DJ gigs and they've only met one face to face, the guy that's going to get it is almost certainly going to be the one that actually made the effort to meet them face to face, because not only did they make that effort, they're also more lodged into their brain and they know what that person was like. They can picture meeting them, talking to them. They've already built that first step on the relationship. So what can you do to meet people face to face? Well, I started walking around to all the clubs and bars in my area and asking to meet club managers. I walked up to them with a mix and I told them I was a DJ. I told them that I'd be super keen to come and play for them. I told them I'd be happy to play for free. I told them I'd be happy to play first when no one's there. I said I would do anything. I'm super keen. I'm willing to do what it takes. I am a good DJ. Here's my mix so that you can listen to it. And that was the first place that I started. Honestly, sometimes it was pissing it down with rain. I walked up to so many bars and so many clubs and spoke to so many club managers and promoters, and that was the first way I got myself out there. Now, in that time, I sometimes had a few snobby, rude no's, but actually, generally, everyone was really nice. In fact, I remember meeting the club owner of a bar or a club in Portsmouth called Astoria, and he actually spent 5-10 minutes talking about himself, how he first started off doing weddings, building it up, building his network, etc, etc. He said, look, I'm really sorry, we've got enough DJs at the moment, I can't take on another one. But he gave me some tips and tricks. He gave me some really good pieces of advice, and it was good to hear it from someone who was in the industry, because of course I was somebody who knew nobody from the industry. So to start speaking to people within the industry, and he actually dropped a few names. He said, look, you could go and ask this person, they run nights at my club every Thursday. I'm nothing to do with the people that play, but maybe get in touch with him and you could maybe have a slot with him. Bang, I've got a name. I've got now a promotion company which are working with that club. That's a potential avenue. I walked down to other clubs and I started getting names. I went to one club, a club called Junk in Southampton, and I found out the name of the person that does the bookings. So I was then able to start building a picture. And then when I went to these two clubs and they were maybe referring to each other and they were dropping names, I could say, oh yeah, I know of that person, or I know that person, when obviously you maybe don't know that person, but you start building a picture of your industry, which is or your local industry, your local scene, which is very, very important if you want to try and infiltrate it and get a gig there. So my first piece of advice is get out there, get speaking to club managers, promoters, anybody working with the industry. They're not as scary as you may think they are, and what's the worst they can say? No. Trick number 2, or at least my top tip number 2, was social media. Social media is such a powerful tool, and let's face it, it's only within the last few years we've been able to properly use it. If you were to go back 10, 20 years to when DJs were trying to make a break then, they didn't have this tool. So consider yourself lucky that you've actually got this tool. In fact, go back and speak to the current grandparents, that current generation. Social media is absolutely amazing to them. The people you can reach. You know, they say you're 6 degrees of separation from anyone in the world. Well, you can go onto social media, type their name in it, and send them a message. It's incredible. So definitely make the most of social media. I don't think it should necessarily replace face-to-face, but it is a fantastic place to start building your network. Now, one thing I did, I went on to my local biggest nightclub called Switch. Now, Switch have had people like Pete Tong, Annie Mac, Hannah Wants, Fisher, drum and bass artists, you name it, they've done it. So I went onto their Facebook page, and they have banners promoting what their events are every week, and it's saved. If you go back through their history, it's saved. So I went through and I started writing down all the names of the promotion companies that have worked within Switch. I maybe came up with 10 or 15 names. I sent them all a message. Most of them came back saying they couldn't have me on. Some of them didn't reply. Some of them gave me names of other people. Some of them gave me names of other brands. While I was also then flicking through these brands, I managed to find a load of other brands on there as well. So I then started messaging these brands as well. And this was actually how I got my first DJ gig. I messaged a brand called Boxed In. I told them that I was a DJ. I told them I was a house techno disco DJ, which is exactly what they were looking for. And I got invited down to come and play at one of their events. I'll share a little bit more about that in a moment. But with the power of social media, you can do these kind of things. There are countless groups on Facebook. Start joining these groups. Start asking questions. Start building a network. You know, outright say, I'm in Birmingham. I'm a DJ, I'm looking for a gig, I'm keen, I'll do anything. Is there anyone here DJing in Birmingham at the moment? Is there any promoters here in Birmingham at the moment? I could travel to Manchester, I could travel to Cardiff, I could travel to London. You know, these are the places you can really start building your network online. It's an amazing tool. Make sure you really do make the most of it. Which brings me on to tip number 3, which really is a bit of a combination of tip number 1 and tip number 2. Network, network, network. Honestly, your network is everything. As soon as you know a whole host of club managers, as soon as you know a whole host of promoters, as soon as you know a whole host of DJs, you only need a really tiny lucky break at that point to be getting a gig with someone. It really isn't going to be that hard. And you know what? Once you know DJs, promoters and club managers, you could even go down the route of setting up your own event. That's food for thought as well. If you really can't get a gig anywhere, speak to the small club manager, speak to the promoter, speak to a few DJs and see if you can build a little team there. All of a sudden, you've got a group of people ready to throw a gig in your local area, and guess what? You'll be able to get a slot on it. So, I hope those tips and tricks have really helped you. If you're really struggling to get off the ground at the moment and you really just can't get that first gig, doesn't matter what you're doing, try and take a pinch of salt or try and definitely take a few ideas that I've explained there, because I really do think that these could hold some of the keys to you getting that first all-important DJ gig. So that just about ties it up. Thank you so much for listening. If you did find this video of any value, please do give it a thumbs up, and of course subscribe for more good stuff coming soon. Cheers.